Hello, and welcome to the Ascendant Art Podcast, where we are on a search for art ascending above the mainstream. This is Mike, your host, here with Vinny and Joey, the co-hosts. And today we've got someone very special that when it comes to Ascendant Art, of course, there are ways that we have to fund and promote that art. So we've got with us ChadPunks, a master of NFTs. So we're going to have him come on and talk about this very hot topic tonight. How are you doing, Chad?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Nice.
That's good to know. We're big fans of learning about NFTs and how they work, since for creators, it's probably going to be the next big thing for trying to make money off your content. And as far as I kind of conceptually get, there's a way where the NFT continuously kind of pays back the original creator, which is a great idea.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And I know we've got varying levels of experience here. I know I'm a little bit familiar with, say, like Ethereum and smart contracts. And I guess that's a good part for us to jump in here. I've heard many different things either stated or accused about NFTs. First thing is, just as a simple summary, what is an NFT?
An NFT. So I'm going to do my best. I'm not like super technical. I'm kind of like a mix of tech and branding and the art side, a jack of all trades. I'll do my best to kind of represent the NFT community here. But NFT is a non-fungible token. And it's basically a piece of intellectual property connected with a smart contract that basically says this person owns this NFT, and it's all publicly marked down in a ledger, which is basically the Ethereum blockchain, so that there's an actual owner of this piece of art. Yeah, you can right click and save, an image, but you're not actually the owner unless you own it through a smart contract on the blockchain.
Okay. And I know that was the number one criticism I've heard about NFTs, and I've seen a lot of memes about people talking about that with the right click and download. But I guess in this case, instead of it being the image, it's more ownership of the image. So for example, like you have a car, and so this would be like the car title. Would that be a good illustration?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you have a car, the car title, you have a fur coat. You could have an actual real fur coat. You could have a fake fur coat. Do you have the real thing, or are you just having like a fake copy? There's a difference there. There's a difference between a Rolex and a Timex watch. Yeah, there's a lot of criticisms there, but I think the people that kind of criticize, they don't really get it yet, and it's such a new kind of idea. So it's understandable that people don't get it.
So one thing I'd like to ask, kind of right in this line then, is the copyright on the image, which is kind of, I think, what in the bottom line is what you're getting ownership over, since like you said, it can be copied digitally. But that's true for pretty much any photograph that's put on the internet now. So the copyright on the image or artwork, does that go to the buyer in total, or is there still a share for the original creator as well?
So you get the copyright, you get your retained ownership by buying it, but then the original owner, the original creator, they get royalties on every resale in the secondary market. So, and you can choose the amount. You can do 1% royalties, 10%, 15%. You set that up beforehand, and then that automatically gets charged to you. So in the past, when there'd be a painter, they paint their artwork, they sell it, they may never see it again, they're never going to make money off it again, but now they can actually see who owns it. They can see where it's been passed, the different hands it's been passed to, and they can get royalties on each resale. That was really why I got into it. That was really attractive to me, the whole resale value.
Yes, indeed.
That does sound like, I've gone to comic conventions and I've gotten original art pieces made for me by different artists. And that's a great point, because that's an original art piece I commissioned or purchased. And once I paid that artist the money that one time, they never get that money again. If I turn around and sell that art after the artist gets maybe more well known, I could recoup a significant increase in my investment in the art. And the artist never sees any dollar of that. So I can definitely see why for artists, this would be a much better deal and they should all kind of look into it. Because I know a lot of comic book artists, especially, have switched to doing all of their artwork digitally instead of still doing it on paper. So I think a lot of artists should actually really start looking at that.
Yeah, it's such a big deal for artists. It's such a revolution in the art world. It's amazing. You don't even have to do one of ones. You can do 10 editions, however many number of editions, or you can just do one of ones. But there's just there's so many possibilities to it. It's such a huge deal for the art world, I think, as a huge fan of fine art and just computer art and marketing and branding, the whole side of it, which you guys do really well. I can't, it's insane, the possibilities to me. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And also I'm taking a look at the Open Chad collection right now. So tell us a little bit about how you I guess just got into starting with NFTs, and then what led you to making the Chad collection.
I've been a graphic designer. Like I've been doing graphic design for years, and always been interested in the business side of art too. There's this art exhibition every year in Miami. It's called Art Basel, and it's a huge international art show. They set up a tent on the beach, and I would go down there years ago. I would like sleep in my car, and I would go there, sleep in my car, because it's so hard to get hotels and parking spots. It's so packed, just to like be around the art and, be around the commerce of it and stuff. So that's kind of my background, just loving that whole side of it. Like someone at Art Basel, someone taped a banana on the wall with duct tape and sold it for 170 grand or something like that. So what gives something value, like that's so interesting to me. So I've always been kind of interested in that. And then when NFTs came around, I was working with someone to create kind of a whole new platform to monetize people's name and trade their name on a stock exchange. And that turned into what's now BitClout, which has its own problems. And then just saw the opportunity. Like a lot of people were getting into NFTs. A lot of people were actually buying. They were selling and buying in Ethereum, not really US dollars. And I just saw that kind of frenzy happening. And I was like, you know what? I think I have a cool idea. The timing is right. I need to get in now and start building this thing out and see how I can do with it.
Nice. And why did you decide to do Chads?
So ChadPunks is basically, for anyone who doesn't know, it's based on the Alpha Chad meme, and it's one of my favorite memes. It's like this guy with this big blonde hair, kind of spike, and he's wearing a tank top, and he's like this dude that does everything right effortlessly, and just all these funny memes kind of created around this one character. And I was like, I could go and create my own collection of art under my own name or something, but to kind of piggyback on a meme would be way better because it's already recognizable. People know it. And I want to see it in different forms. I want to actually add a new spin to it. So just created ChadPunks from there, which is basically a limited supply collection of 69 NFTs, all different variations on the original Alpha Chad character.
Well, as someone who has completely not gone a very similar route with his comic book work over here. I'm kidding.
After the creator of the Little Chad comic.
Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why Chad's on our podcast, because since we have a similar aesthetic, which is very clear from the people who might go on OpenSea and check out the ChadPunk collection, or go on, and follow Little Chad as the comic strip. I think my idea when I made the Little Chad comic strip was very similar, which is I kind of got an idea from my comic strip, but but if I link it into a meme culture, it's going to be far easier for people to kind of get where I'm coming from and what the message is supposed to be. It's speaking in a dialectic and milieu. Those are the fancy ways of saying what people know already.
Yep.
So I like, and that was kind of the genesis, a little bit of me doing my strip that way. So I very much kind of understand where the ChadPunks collection is coming from, because when you're making art, it is a very difficult process to try to break into it. So sometimes there is a life hack, so to speak, of kind of linking into something that's already got the culture very much in the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a problem that artists have been having for years. Myself, I used to represent artists as a representative to get them big projects like art mural projects that were commissioned by local county governments. And artists, they always have this kind of marketing problem where they just think that they can just create their art and not have to change it at all. They're like, no, dude, it's my art. I don't want to change it. I don't want to sell out, So then they just become that kind of starving artist idea. So I think it's important for artists to understand that they may have to kind of polish and package their art and brand it in a way. And yeah, if they can piggyback on some kind of theme or, trope that people already, it's well recognized, that's even better. And I noticed that when I saw your guys' comic, I was like, boom, this is it. I was waiting for this and someone made it and they're doing it really well. So yeah, it's great.
Cool. I like hearing that people are enjoying. So that's good. All the people listening to the podcast, feel free to offer all sorts of high praise anytime. Like I'm a humble man, but I can appreciate it when it comes.
Right.
Now, like I just mentioned, kind of your collection is on OpenSea. Can you explain, as not necessarily super technical, but for me as a layman, if I wanted to kind of create an NFT, does OpenSea make it pretty easy to do it? And kind of what's the rough process for that?
Yeah, totally. And I think they do make it very easy. And I think what you said, you said at this moment, that's really important because the NFT world is changing so fast. So this is November 2021. OpenSea, before probably 6 months ago, it was like Rarible and these other sites. So, but OpenSea is like the main thing right now. Now, I can get into Coinbase and what they're going to be doing pretty soon. But as far as OpenSea goes, yeah, they make it pretty easy. I still think it's you need to be kind of a little bit more technical still.
Sure.
Which is just going to change over time. It's going to be easier and easier, right? But
I was going to say I develop a lot in the open source space, and that is one of those things. You're right. Like once you get a good community going, just the rate of acceleration is incredible. And you're right. I mean, that's what this is that once the interest starts, you get the developers in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's everything's moving so quick with not only cryptocurrency, but NFTs. But yeah, do you want me to like kind of go through OpenSea a bit?
Yeah, because right now I know OpenSea is like the biggest one. I know Coinbase is coming, but kind of getting I think for the people listening, a good idea of roughly like right now, today, at this moment, what it is. And then I'm going to have kind of a follow-up question after that about from the consumer perspective. But if you want to go ahead and kind of give that basic, again, not technical. I like the fact that you're not overly technical is actually going to be, I think, more helpful than someone who's getting into like the really nuts and bolts of like the crypto, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, I think 99.9% of the population doesn't understand that anyway.
So you're going to need two things. You're going to need to first get a MetaMask wallet. So that's basically a crypto wallet where you can hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, blah, blah, blah. You download that app and you set up your wallet, and then you use that wallet to log into OpenSea. And everyone, that's how they log into OpenSea with their wallet. It doesn't have to be MetaMask, but that's like the biggest one people use. So you could basically just have a JPEG or whatever you want, your art, and then you upload it. You can create a collection. A collection is a big part of the whole brand experience and branding. It kind of packages it in one kind of gallery. It's kind of like a gallery, your collection. So I have the ChadPunk NFT collection. And then you can, within that collection, you can add in as many individual NFTs as you want. For me, we're at 49 out of 69. We're still creating the last 20. We have like 33 owners. And you basically just you upload your image or your MP3. You could even do music NFTs, which haven't been, there's a lot of possibilities there, but haven't really been tapped into as I think they will be. Whatever you upload, upload your intellectual property, boom, you create a title for it, you create attributes. You can add like each ChadPunk has a different, attribute. Maybe one smoking a cigarette, maybe one has a mohawk, maybe one has a tank top. I kind of look through it and add in those little attributes, and it kind of adds to the rarity. Does this one have this item that's kind of rare? Does this one have common items? It adds to the rarity of each one. You could get real technical. You could get into the developing of things and change up in the code or whatever to change up each rarity for something. But OpenSea does it pretty well. You change your properties, and then you basically just upload it. And in the back end, you can set up what royalties you want, how much percentage of each sale you want to make. Of course, you're going to make 100% of that original sale, and then you're going to make royalties on each in the secondary market after. Then you want to like start promoting and going on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, but that might be a little bit too ahead of what we're going here. But yeah, it's kind of a little how-to.
Yeah, so that leads to this is a consumer side question that I have. So if I go and I use MetaMask, which is the one you were talking about, and I have one of those myself, and I go on OpenSea and I get an NFT, a ChadPunk, because it's a great investment and everybody should be looking at their favorite one to buy right now at the ChadPunk collection over on OpenSea. You mentioned Coinbase and some other, crypto wallets. If I get it through MetaMask, is there a situation where I'm going to have any difficulty if I change my wallet later, but to transfer that NFT to a different crypto wallet?
Yeah, when you transfer, you have to pay fees. So if you're using Ethereum's transaction fees are called gas fees, and those change depending on the network congestion. You're basically paying for room on the network. When it's congested, the fees are going to be higher. When it's not, they're going to be lower. Fees right now are really high. So that is affecting the NFT market, but it's also it's a good thing in the long term, because that means a lot of people are using the network, and you're going to have to pay more to be able to use the network as well. Yeah. As far as Ethereum goes, they're planning to switch their system to where you won't have to pay gas fees. It's going to be a different system. So we're kind of seeing how that goes. Solana, you can pay with other cryptocurrencies that have varying transaction fees and whatever. A big one is Solana. OpenSea doesn't allow you to buy and sell with Solana. So there's other marketplaces that are popping up just for that cryptocurrency, because there's basically no transaction fees with that. It makes it a lot more convenient. So yeah, if you have a wallet, MetaMask, and then you have another wallet you want to transfer it to, you're basically you're going to have to pay fees for that. So that is one inconvenience,
And just for our listeners, when we talk about gas fees, would this be similar to, say, like when someone takes money on PayPal, right? PayPal takes a cut because that's the price of using their platform.
Basically, except the PayPal fees are kind of a fixed rate. They don't vary like gas fees do. And the PayPal fees aren't really, that's just them getting their cut, as far as I know. And it's not basic. It's not
Whereas
like
I think gas
getting
fees
you
may
access.
Be more like a marketplace almost. Like when more people are out there, the price goes down, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the network has only a limited amount of like space it's creating at a time, which is that's gonna actually kind of change and reconfigure. That's real technical, but yeah, it's congested, so you have to pay to get on it, and you can pay more to speed up your transaction, and you can pay less to have kind of the basic transaction speed. But yeah,
have you found that you've run into a lot of resistance within you, because you mentioned your backstory with being involved with traditional art communities? I would imagine, given my experience with what it's been like with comic communities and how much they hate digital, hate digital. Like I would think traditional artists, and you sort of mentioned it a little bit, but I think is that something where you're finding that a lot of the traditional artists are purposefully kind of avoiding it, even though they could be in a better economic situation by getting royalties on the art they create? Is that a point of resistance that you see?
I don't see it too much, because I'm kind of plugged into the community where those people aren't even in it yet. So I don't hear all the people in the community are those that have already moved to digital. They're cool with it, whatever. But I do know people that are hesitant on it because they don't fully understand it, nor do they kind of want to, they're resistant to change. So the only thing I'd say is if you don't change with this, if you don't adapt to this, you're going to get left behind. This is a huge opportunity. And right now the timing is amazing. It's like staying in print and avoiding digital. I mean, the guys that are going to go into digital are going to have a leg up on you. And there is an aspect of, I know artists they like to avoid that, but there is an aspect of like, this is a competitive marketplace. And the reality is if you want to continue making art, you do have to monetize it, or you at some point, or you have a job that supports it, and artists don't really think about that. And I know I didn't in the past until I realized, okay, if I want to keep doing this stuff, or I want to keep doing that stuff, I have to monetize this in some way. And that's where the money's flowing. I would imagine print comics, they're probably doing well, but the money's flown into digital and NFTs. And, if you don't adapt, you're going to get left behind.
Your ChadPunk collection is 8-bit style, like retro, cool art. But I would imagine it'd be easy for someone to try to claim like maybe you were ripping off ideas or this or that. Mm-hmm. Is that something where you've had any issues where people are trying to claim that you're making money off these NFTs, but it may be their art?
It's based off the Alpha Chad meme, and you could there's an argument there that it could be a copyright issue, using that meme and using that kind of character to base all these on. I personally believe I'm changing and building on it.
Yeah, I'm 100% a fan of saying that the Chad meme has been transformed by my work.
Right.
So I agree with you.
The whole derivative work case. Yeah.
I don't want to get into that trap either.
Yeah. Right. And I think the whole ethos of the meme world, it's not like about that. It's about the success of a meme is how much it can be kind of built upon and changed and shared. So the aspect of that whole kind of magic and meme world, it's not really kind of based on that. Like, this is mine. It's based on, this is an idea exemplified by something, and that this is going to spread it far and wide. And the success of it is if it gets shared and built upon,
I was going to say, it's getting me wondering now. So the other question is, for someone who is buying one of these, what exactly does it mean in terms of ownership? Because one of the questions I'm thinking about here is, just like Vinny had mentioned earlier, a lot of comic book artists, because a couple of us are working on comics, right? Mm-hmm. They will do the original art on paper because that original art print can often be very, very valuable. So in that case, if someone's purchasing it, is it the case that they're purchasing the actual rights to the image? Have you seen anyone doing that, or have you seen any cases around that?
Yeah, it all is like kind of on a case-by-case basis, the terms of the NFT purchase, what the artist wants to do, and their contract with the buyer. Some examples is Beeple. He's an artist. He does these kind of digital artworks, like 3D computer graphic CGI artworks. He's done one every day for years and got big on Instagram. He sold an NFT for $69 million, and that kind of brought NFTs into the mainstream. And I believe he was selling his NFTs with an actual physical print of it. He, of course, started on the computer, so it's not like an original drawing or anything, but you get like a physical artwork of it. And then that alone has value because you're the only one that has that, along with the digital one. There's also, I think, it might be Damien Hirst, maybe not. I'm probably wrong, but there's a collection where he has the digital artwork and the print artwork. When you buy the NFT, you choose which one you want. And so if you choose the digital one, the print one is going to be destroyed. So you have this one of one digital one. If you choose the print one, the digital one is going to be destroyed, and you will have just the print one, So we're seeing a bunch of these different special cases, and the sky's the limit with what you want to do. I think I'm a huge fan of Frank Frazetta, I believe. He did a lot of the Conan artwork. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I think like I've been wanting to reach out to his team and be like, yo, you guys got to do these original pieces as NFTs and put them up there. And, and then, I mean, there's just so many possibilities. So yeah, the sky's the limit with kind of mixing the traditional and digital with this stuff. There's not really a rule book on how it goes.
And also too, I know we've been focusing mainly on NFTs, but earlier you mentioned you also been doing like art marketing and promotion. Tell us some more about that.
I've always been into marketing and branding. A big part of the ChadPunk collection is there's a whole brand behind it. There's a whole story behind it. There's like a voice. I tweet as Chad. I sign each tweet with my name, Chad. And then I have little storylines for each character that you go on OpenSea, you look in the little bio, and you can read like a little kind of blurb about what you just purchased. And it's irreverent, it's funny, and it's got its own voice to it. And I think that's super important part of the branding, and it's what you guys do too. You have this whole world that you've created with little Chad, his whole family, and new characters coming in. Artists don't necessarily like think of that a lot, but that's been huge for NFTs for sure, especially with profile picture NFTs, which is a huge trend. And what ChadPunks basically falls in that line with that trend is you're getting this character and it has kind of a blank background, one color background, and you can then use it as your Twitter profile picture. And it's kind of like a cool status symbol. You own one, or maybe you're just a fan and you're using it. Yep. Twitter is going to come out with profile picture verification. That's the word on the street, so that you can have a ChadPunk and verify that you're the owner of that. Your profile picture is you're the original owner of it. So I think that's a huge part of selling the art is branding around it and storytelling around it.
So with just as an example of that, I'm on the OpenSea ChadPunks collection page, and I'm looking at the Aaron Rodgers ChadPunk, which is pretty entertaining. And I'm reading this line, and it's making me laugh. I was on mute, so luckily that didn't interrupt the flow. Every day, this dude looks more and more like a Starbucks barista, and he still dumped Olivia Munn. It's just like it's that fun little bit right there. I don't know how this one hasn't sold yet. Anybody listening should go right on OpenSea and look at that, because it's awesome.
Yeah, every time I see this guy, it's like he's got longer hair, he looks like he's smoking more weed, or I don't know what he's doing. I'm not a fan of football myself, but it's just funny like seeing him as a character like that, and yeah, a lot of people enjoy that stuff.
And the ChadPunks collection has a lot of fun things. There's like He-Man ChadPunk, Jean-Claude Van Chad, Super Chadio.
Yes.
The Pika Chad is also really fun. I mean, this is Vincent Van Chad.
Chad Simpson. Yep.
Clearly, these are fun and irreverent, and they're designed to be fun things that people can not just invest in, but like you said, for using on your Twitter handle or any other place you wanted to have that as your profile picture. Like you can find an aesthetic and a character that kind of fits you, and own a piece of art that has value and still represents kind of who you want to be online. It's a pretty exciting concept with that part.
Yeah, man. And some of the stuff, I don't hold back with some of the bios. Some of it could be offensive. Some of it could be, it's funny, it's comedy, it's lighthearted. Like I think a lot of people for too long have been taking themselves too seriously and politically correct. I think that's why the Chad stuff is really big. It questions that whole group thing. So these guys have strong jawlines, high testosterone, and they're not afraid to be offensive in a way. So people that kind of get involved with the collection, they can get involved in something like that, which they believe in, but might not necessarily want to put that out there on their own. They're just a part of this thing. So
no, absolutely. And also too, I wanted to think a little bit more about kind of the art marketing side, because so this one you talked a little bit about seizing on trends, but what are some other things that if you could kind of like tell that starving artist, like, hey man, like here's something you can do to like really up your game. Like what are some things you often recommend?
I would say a mind of an artist is like free flowing and kind of goes to different places and oftentimes doesn't have like order to it, which is what makes art cool and artists unique and stuff like that, and why they create stuff. And I'm like that personally. That's how I can speak on this. I would say, your art it should be like that, but it should be contained within some kind of theme. You do maybe like Western art theme, or you do like embroidery art. Maybe you do a collection on, I don't know, baseball players, or you do a collection on like a theme to it,
So kind of like if someone mentions your name, they're like, oh, the guy who does that thing, right?
Exactly. People look at things and they want to be able to put them in a box really quick. They want to be able to say, oh, this guy's that, this is that, because our brains don't like to process so much information. So when you're creating art where it's all over the place, maybe you have a similar style, but there's not many themes to it. People just kind of back off of it, and it's just like too much for them to process. And that's very subconscious. They're not going to actually say that, but when you do this, you package your art to make it more easily digestible and more marketable, in a sense.
Oh, I get you. So in other words, people often have trouble like understanding things that are totally new or foreign to them. So instead of flooding them with information, it's like, how can I find something familiar that people can pick up and understand quickly?
Exactly. Like focus on one niche and really kill that, like blow it out of the water. And then maybe from there you can expand and keep creating these, like testing out these little niches of, like, mine is the ChadPunk collection based on the Alpha Chad meme. We're not creating anything else that's outside of that. There's constraints to it. So constraints, I think, are good.
Because I think like one misconception actually, like I myself ran into early on with writing comics was like, oh, like I've got to come up with a totally unique story. But it seems like kind of like what we're seeing here with your work is you took something everybody already knows, you're right, that's already all over the place, but you're just elevating it to a new level.
Building on it. And then I think that's what a lot of great art does. You build on things that have been created before. There's like this whole copyright thing that many artists bring up, and even many like new business, like new entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs, they're like really worried about getting sued for copyright and stuff. And I think it's like, one, you haven't even started yet. You haven't brought it to a big level or anything. But I think it's like one of those things where it's kind of just a stalling technique. It's like avoiding taking that plunge. What if I get sued, or what if I, get copyright? Yeah, of course, don't copy things straight up. Like, don't copy and paste, but building on things before. That's what everyone does. That's what art is. That's what there's nothing new under the sun. Andy Warhol did the Campbell's paint soup. Yeah.
I'm reminded of a passage out of the Bible, out of the book of Proverbs. It's that the slacker says on his bed, there's a lion outside. There's a fierce lion in the road. Right? Like this saying's like 3,000 years old, right? And whatever it is that's out there that makes you not want to get up, right? That has changed over the years, but that principle, you're right, has stayed the same.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's timeless. And that's cool. They brought, I'm a Christian. That book is a timeless book, and there's nothing new under the sun. That's a passage as well in the Bible.
Out of Ecclesiastes,
yeah, man. I think it's a stalling. It's like, what if my business name, someone else has it and they sue me? It's like, I don't know. I think you gotta be suable at least. Like, you gotta first get to a point where people would make money by suing you, like.
And on the other hand, you've got companies like Facebook where they just take a name like Meta for their metaverse or whatever they're doing. There's another company that's like, that was already our name, and Facebook's like, whatever, it's Meta, we're just doing it. And it's like, well, we'll sue you, and they're like, fine, whatever, we're still doing it. So you can see that even like the big boys aren't fearful of taking the step first and then doing it. And in keeping with one of our other most recent episodes, I'm going to put out there right now for an artist who wants to make a name for himself in NFTs and make a collection. A waifu collection would sell gangbusters on the NFT market.
Dude,
Like
don't give away our idea.
you do like the ChadPunk style thing for avatars. You make the variation on the waifus, and then bam,
Exactly.
you can be selling that for half an Ethereum, probably pretty easy.
Yes, the waifu.
Yeah.
episode.
Weebs spend money. Those statues move. So I'm just
Yes,
for
they
any
do.
artist that is like, how do I build my brand and make some money fast? Anime girls, weebs will buy them. If you draw that kind of girl, they will spend money. Yeah, I won't use the other phrase because it'd be too open for a joke. But
Yeah, there's a reason why people like that stuff. Like if you tag along with that and create something new based on it, you can put yourself in a really good position. Not everyone's going to be able to be like Pokemon, where they basically created this whole storyline and characters out of nowhere, very unique. That's even better. But good artists copy, great artists steal. I'll do the cliche Picasso quote. And that doesn't mean to just straight up take stuff and use it as your own. Build on it and build something new.
But I think also too, and what's funny is even in the case of Pokemon, it's a great example, is even within stories people consider very original, it's still the
Yep.
case of you go back and look at it, there's still tropes, right? Like there is still
Yep.
the concept of the hero is going to leave his home and he's going to go on this adventure where he gets changed and comes back. In this case, like Ash Ketchum leaves a little boy and he comes back on his way to manhood, right? We just throw in
Except he never comes back.
right.
And he never grows up.
Right, because of course the show's too popular to let that process actually finish.
It's the fans that keep him from growing up.
Yes. But it's still the idea, though, of there are a number of tropes that we have this idea of how many little boys want to get out of their house and go on adventures. And it's like, okay, we're going to take that basic primal need, and now we're going to, add our particular flavor to it and do it really well.
And look at just coming back to the whole great artist steal thing. Like Bob Ross built an empire on that. A lot of people can tell you like that was a style that he really liked, and he took that style, developed it, and basically copied, I think, one of the people who taught him, and just kind of started a little public access show that turned into a $1 billion franchise based on an afro and slamming paintbrushes on the bottom of an easel.
He brought his personality to it. He brought he added something new to it that can be copied too.
He wanted to get rid of it, but they were like, it's part of your brand now. You got to have the perm, man.
Is there now going to be a Bob Ross ChadPunk in the collection?
Dude, there is. Literally, this is an exclusive on your podcast. There's going to be Chad Ross.
Chad Ross.
Seriously, I'm making the last 20 of these, and I'm like, who's next? So
no,
Chad Ross
hair is as big as Chad Ross's hair.
With the happy little
Exactly.
trees. Happy little trees.
Happy little accidents. Happy accidents, man. Yeah. Chad Ross is coming soon.
There you go.
That's
right,
awesome.
Right here, we have created an NFT right on the podcast.
Boom. Look at this.
By stealing Chad and Bob Ross.
Yeah.
I feel like that one should, if it goes for the most, it'll be fantastic. Yay. Oh.
Yeah, I'll break you guys off a cut too. I'll have to, grease the.
Okay, well, then now we just need to sit here and brainstorm more Chad and
yeah. You got any more?
I do notice a theme. There's a lot of what I would call Gen X friendly, Chad punks, which is great. I mean, given that I'm kind of in that age demographic, I'm a fan. So there you go. Go where the money is too. It's the people who will spend money to buy these things.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and well, it also says something about where culture has shifted since Gen X were young. I'm not picking like weak kind of characters. I'm picking like dudes that are epic and awesome and like strong, and that's been lost over the years. If you look at my Instagram, the ChadPunks Instagram, there's an image of characters from the 80s, 70s, and they have all these strong jawlines. They're muscular. There's these images that, it can be unrealistic, but it's something that we can all kind of aim towards. And I think that's been lost in cartoons and culture. And the heroes that we did have, they're all, they've all been kind of changed by someone else's weirdo agenda. They've been kind of co-opted. So it's kind of weird how it turned out that way.
And now I've and so just throwing this out there, thought of two more. John McClane Chad and a Hans Gruber Chad as a double feature. Just saying.
Chad Burton. We need Chad Burton with Pork Chop Express.
There you go.
Yeah. I gotta look some of these guys up. I gotta look them up. I know John McClane.
Die Hard. Yeah, Hans Gruber was the guy who threw off the building.
Who was it? Oh yeah, John Carpenter with They Live. That's another good one.
With the sunglasses.
Yes. That Chad's here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and he's all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
And Jack Burton would be perfect for it, like truck driver from Big Trouble in Little China, like drives the Pork Chop Express. You could get really old and do a John Candy, Uncle Chad.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm a John Candy fan. Gotta maybe add him and
have him with a drill.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Home Improvement, even the Tool Time, now I'm thinking of things. You guys are jogging. I don't know why I thought of that, but yeah.
But yeah, when
Tim
you
Allen.
mentioned that though.
Tim the Tool Man Taylor. Yeah.
Tim the Tool Man.
Exactly.
His grunting naturally causes an instinctual response in women to ovulate.
Absolutely. 100%.
This is what's fun about the Chad Punk collection, man. And people should go in there and try to own a piece of it. Because now, if listening to this podcast, hopefully you'll see 3 or 4 maybe that are going to pop up that you might want to buy now.
And me being a big fan of just the whole web world. Do you guys remember the $1 Million webpage?
That was not my kind of thing. I was too nerdy.
Yeah, so this was
gone deeper than I was willing to go.
Yeah, but if you remember, that was the guy. He made the webpage, and it was just and it was just on the honor system. There's no NFT then.
Mm-hmm.
It was $1 per pixel. You can put up images on this page.
Yeah.
And in the end, he sold them all. Like he sold the whole 1 million pixels.
I remember this. I do. And there's NFTs like this.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm suddenly reminded of that, except in this case, it's a little bit more permanent than just hoping the guy keeps his website up.
It's kind of like the red paperclip too. That was big. Like the guy traded up a red paperclip to a house. He traded a red paperclip for a pencil and for like a bottle of water and then a skateboard. Yep. And then, it's kind of like NFTs are like that, where you can track where it's going. In this case, it was just one guy holding onto it the whole time and building up. But it's interesting that way.
One thing that I would say, and this is going to be for anybody listening who might want to purchase an NFT. An NFT is like any other piece of art, and you have to think of it this way. There's no guarantee what you pay for today is going to be what it's worth tomorrow, and there's no guarantee it won't be worth 10 times what you pay for. What you should do is look for, when you buy art, I know this is what I do. I look for art that actually just speaks to what I like and that I want to have up. And I'm not talking because, Chad kind of brought up some of the silly examples in the art world where it was like, maybe like bananas duct taped to a wall and like it's kind of just ridiculous, right? But the stuff that's stood the test of time and has lasted is art that kind of, and this is something we talk about in this podcast, which is truthful art, like art that speaks to you and resonates, right? So whether it's an NFT or it's a print of a Van Gogh painting that you buy, if it's art that you enjoy and you like looking at, if you pay for it and you have ownership over that NFT, you're going to be happy with it, whether it's worth more money later or not. So if you look at the ChadPunks collection and you find it fun and entertaining and it speaks to you, I would say just, go ahead and just purchase it, because when you look at it later, it's still going to give you that feeling. And that's what art is about, not necessarily an investment.
Right. Not the hope that it's going to get multiplied tomorrow, because you're right. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But really, it's the question of, hey, is this collection, by buying into it, am I buying into that little piece of history where this whole concept's getting developed and where a guy made a statement that we thought was really cool?
Now I have a question, because I was thinking of something. But if for whatever reason down the road, like, because you're selling these as NFTs, so does that preclude you from marketing them in other mediums? Like,
So
would
like
that lower the value or cause problems with the original buyers? Or like, I'm curious about that.
in other mediums like printed format or painted or something like that.
I was just thinking, like, these look really cool. One by itself on my computer doesn't do a whole lot for me, but like if I had like disc plates of all my favorites and did like a wall of, disc plates or something, that'd be really cool. But like then I'm like, but can you do that? Because won't that hurt the NFT?
I think it would actually add to the value if you're creating other items kind of based on it and people are buying it. You're not creating other NFTs of the same thing and selling them. You're creating things that kind of bolster the value of that original NFT that only you have. Other people can buy plates with a ChadPunk on it or shirts, and get hundreds of them and whatever, but you would be the only one that owns that original NFT. So I think it would actually bolster the value of that.
So it will maintain some degree of exclusivity.
So Joey, the example I think of is like everybody has probably been into a house where somebody has a Monet print like hanging up or something like that, right? They're mass produced, mass printed copies of these paintings. But because so many people love them and buy the prints or other copies of the original, it means that the original painting is worth more now because that's the original. Like there's always kind of like an ownership level where that becomes the more valuable as people like and think of it as popular. So if you had one of the ChadPunks and you own the original NFT of one of the ones that then becomes the super popular t-shirt, then it actually makes your investment, I would think, more valuable because everybody's going to, know that that's where it came from, and you're going to have the original that you can sell later. Like I think, from the comic book world, Action Comics #1, which is the original Superman comic book, has been reprinted 1,000,000 times. Everybody can go right on probably Google and find the entire story, copied in Google Images, but that doesn't mean that the original comic book isn't selling for $3 million.
God. Okay. So to put it in terms my nerd brain can understand, it's like an alpha Black Lotus as opposed to one of the reprints further on down the road. It's going to have a lot more value, even though it's the same card.
Is that a Magic reference?
Yes, that is a Magic reference.
I told you guys before that is the one that I don't know. So yes, okay, go. That yes,
Yep.
that sounds right.
Or even a brand that has done this so well, Disney. If you think of Steamboat Willie, where Mickey Mouse first started out, if you go to Disney World, you can get t-shirts and pillow toys of Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, the 1920s or whatever version. But the owner of that original like reel of the film of Steamboat Willie, that's like highly valuable. And the fact that other people are buying into that image in other forms just contributes to that value.
So I think that's the thing that we're all trying to get our heads around here, because I know that was the most common criticism is people say, oh, well, I can get the image, but it's the ownership that we're talking about.
And what's really funny to me is now that having had this long conversation, it just occurred to me, like the Monet prints, Van Gogh prints, like everybody has those. You can have Starry Night as the background on your phone in like 2 seconds with downloading. That doesn't mean the original print, like the original painting, isn't worth $1 bazillion, right? Everybody can see it. Everybody can have a copy of it. But there's still something where if you own the original, it has extra value. It's actually enhanced by the popularity. So I've come around on NFTs because if you own the original and have the copyright and and especially with a smart contract tracking it, you're going to be like, the fact that it becomes a meme or becomes even more popular only makes your investment a better investment. If you're looking at it from an investment standpoint and not just from an art you like standpoint.
And it's harder to create a fake duplicate of that. Like you can have a Van Gogh and you can hire a really talented painter to create an exact copy painting using years of craftsmanship technique that they learned to paint like Van Gogh. And that could possibly sell, maybe not Van Gogh, but some other artists. And that's happening to this day. And NFTs, you can't do that because it's all publicly on a blockchain ledger that no one can change or duplicate or tamper with.
So in a lot of ways, it's actually maybe a more secure way for an artist to create their content, not even just from a, getting a royalty standpoint, but from the fact that it's with a blockchain smart contract tracking it, there's less risk of forgeries and all the other parts where, I mean, I've read stories, I think in the newspaper about like the famous incidents where they have a painting in the museum that they think is an original for like 60 years. And they find out, oops,
Yeah.
it was a forgery and the original was actually in some Nazi guy's basement.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like, how sometimes when they do the little the Kickstarters and things, and they're like the first 500 will get a certificate of authenticity, blah blah blah. It's almost like a digital certificate of authenticity.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yep.
how awesome would it be to do a kick, like when you're kickstarting your thing now, and as one of the perks, you could do an NFT perk. That would be a very forward thinking way of crowdfunding too.
Yeah, and there's NFT collections where you own this NFT, you get access in the real world outside of the digital world to exclusive events, perks, conferences, blah blah blah. And ChadPunks, the original collection of the 69, and this is a podcast exclusive too on your podcast. The original owners of the 69 collection, they're going to have perks in the future that the details haven't been released yet, but there's going to be a payoff for being an owner in this original collection in the real world.
Awesome.
I mean, figure out which one I want. Damn it.
I mean,
Indeed.
I see that He-Man Chad Punk is still available, and that's something the Skeletor one already moved. I was eyeing that one for a while, and I was like, I should have pulled the trigger on that one because that one spoke to me.
Right.
The Skeletor.
That's one of my
That's
favorites.
right.
Yeah.
Skeletor Chad is not nice.
But Super Chatio is also still available, and being Italian, I feel like maybe I should lean into that one.
I mean, you are super chatio, so
It's a Chatio.
Exactly.
This is awesome. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and we really appreciate you being here, Chad, and kind of walking us through the NFT market, because we were all super novices, I think, on this topic, as you could tell from our questions. And you've helped us all, I think, maybe come around and see the value in it, especially Joey over here, who now has equated it to Magic the Gathering and suddenly understands the concept inherently.
if I can put it into Magic the Gathering terms, I can understand it, and I can probably break it.
I mean, a lot of listeners are probably going to instantly go, "Oh, this is how it worked for Matt. Oh, now I get it. Let's start buying some NFTs."
Oh, there we go. Oh, I'll have to learn some Magic terms and to be able to speak to that audience.
So, Chad, if you want to just follow up, you're on Twitter. You're under ChadPunks, right? Twitter handle. The ChadPunks collection is available at OpenSea, but there's links to it right through your Twitter page and social media. Mm-hmm. And someone who's interested in buying it, one of their first steps should be getting a MetaMask wallet or some, so they can get that.
Exactly. Yeah. Open a MetaMask wallet, and then you can log into OpenSea using that. We're on Twitter. At ChadPunks, capital C, and then Chad_punks. And then we're on Instagram too, just at ChadPunks. A lot of fun stuff going on the social media.
Nice. No, this has been a really great episode, guys. And if I think just the main takeaway from this too, a lot of people talk about doing stuff. You've gone out and done it, and just looking at the data, you've gone out, you've done it, you've got some success. And that really is the difference, right? Like, no matter which take people want to do, like, just go out and actually do it.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, this got some little success, and people see this, but behind this is like so many different trial and errors of random things that I never want to even speak publicly. But it's the fact that you learn through the doing. So get out there, mess around with OpenSea. Look at what other people are doing, and go for it.
We may have to do another one of these because we're coming up on time. But that was going to be one of my lines of questioning was like, what went wrong on the way? Like, because it's never a perfect ride.
It's like when I've like sent some of my writing to you guys, we call that the iteration one cringe.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it
draft
was-
one it always gets better. That's
It always gets better. That's
it always
that's
gets
the way to
better. I
put it.
mean, look, little Chad version 1.0 was
Yeah.
not what was released.
Vinny just told you that it couldn't get worse.
By the
People
way,
have
I
never
did-
seen like Aunt Karen version 1.0. That's never coming out.
By the way, I did want to mention, I forgot about this. We are doing a dad ChadPunk. And I know I talked to you guys about this in the DMs a little bit back. That's in the works. So that will be coming out, a little collaboration.
I'll promote that heavily. And after I
That's
decide
right,
what
dude.
other one I'm going to purchase ahead of time so we can have multiple collection entries. I definitely want
Awesome.
to be a part of the Chad Punk collection ownership. I don't know what my in real world perk is going to be since you don't know yet exactly, but it's going to be something I will have available to me, guaranteed.
Yeah,
I
man.
have to ask a couple questions before I decide which one I'm going to purchase, but we'll take that off stream.
Yes, indeed. Well, guys, it's been a great talk, and looking forward to continuing this conversation and continuing the search for Ascendant Art. And with that, we'll go ahead and have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You too. Thank you.